Hey Transformers fans, Adam here, back with another Transformers review. And am I ever excited for this one? I just got him the other day and I was so excited I put him ahead of all the other reviews that I had planned. A commemorative reissue of G1 Ultra Magnus, just like I had when I was a kid, with a couple of exceptions. Some small ones, and some bigger ones that we'll get into. But first, we'll do a close-up of his packaging here. So on front, nice graphic of Magnus in his robot mode. Magnus fits inside there nice and snug. On the side here, other Transformers that they released during this commemorative series. And this was during a period of time where they did not have the rights to the name Hot Rod. Hence why they got a little creative with the name here. On the side, picture of Magnus in robot mode and vehicle mode. Same thing on the bottom. On the top, a demonstration of how to transform him. And on the back, the usual graphic of the Transformers, and then a mini bio for Ultra Magnus. Now let's put that back there and talk about his accessories. So we have his blaster, and then not just one, but two sets of robot fists, smaller ones and bigger ones. We'll get into why in just a bit. And then his chest plate and robot head. And fun fact, when these were originally released in Japan before the Transformers were the Transformers, and they had human pilots, this chest plate also acted as a little jet. And the robot head here clipped on top to give the jet some lasers. Fun fact I only just found out the other day, and now you guys know it too. And then they gave you an extra cab connector, because I guess they figured you needed two in case you lost one. Although personally, if I was going to get two of something, I'd rather have extra fists. So there we go. And now Magnus himself here. Again, just like I had when I was a kid, with the exceptions being the exhaust pipes. They are noticeably smaller than the ones I had with the original G1. And I'm okay with that, because the exhaust pipes weren't really part of his identity like they were with Optimus. The bigger exceptions were these missiles here. After the 80s, choke hazard laws got more strict, and they basically had to make these things ridiculously long. Let's take one of these out and put one of these in. And yeah, you could see why I basically had no choice but to modify this, because there was no way I was going to live with that. So what I did was, I went ahead and cut the missile right at the warhead, and then cut this end piece in half, and then drilled a hole right down the middle of the warhead, and stuck the shortened end piece in and super glued it in place. Much more acceptable, and it still works just fine. Rockets away. And now Ultra Magnus himself, who is actually made up of two parts here. So the front part is a Mack truck, and if it looks like G1 Optimus Prime for you, well, that's because it is G1 Optimus Prime, just painted white. More on that in a little bit. But instead of towing a trailer, he tows a car carrier. So let's say that an Autobot needs help. They need a lift back to Autobot headquarters for repairs. He just slows down his ramp here. Let's get G1 Ironhide out here. Up he goes. Goes up the ramp. And they're off to Autobot headquarters. Let's take him back out. And let's say the bottom here was already full of Autobots that need repairs. Well, Ironhide's going to need to go up top. So we just bring these panels out. And then lower this ramp down. There we go. And up Ironhide goes. Got a bird's eye view of everything. Raise these pieces back up. Rotate the panels back in. And close the ramp up. Yeah, and this is why Ultra Magnus was one of my favorites as a kid. He can carry a whole army of Autobots wherever they need to go. All right. Let's go ahead and put Ironhide aside here. And let's go ahead and transform him. The transformation is actually going to be in two parts. So first, for Ghost Optimus Prime here, is the exact same transformation as G1 Optimus. Again, that's because he is just painted white. And we'll put the smaller fists on. And there is Ghost Prime. Or I should really say Ultra Magnus, because we never actually saw this in the G1 animated series, but other adaptations of the Transformers and comic books, they did confirm that Optimus Prime and Ultra Magnus were brothers, and that this is actually Ultra Magnus's base form, and when he combines with the car carrier, that's actually a suit of armor for him. Again, we never actually saw that on the show, and once I found this out, I really wish that we did. That could have made for some really interesting storylines. But anyway, let's go ahead and switch to the mode that we're all more familiar with. And by the way, notice how in his base form, he has a face shield, but in the mode that's supposed to be a suit of armor for him, he actually has a mouth. Interesting. Very interesting. But anyway, let's go ahead and tuck his arms away. And there's one more thing that we'll need to do with them, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Right now, we'll focus on the car carrier part here. Take off the rocket launchers. Get ahead and lift these pieces up. Move these panels back out. And compress these up as far as I go. Next step, rotate these pieces up as far as they go and clip them into place. And they become his feet. Aim this camera up a little higher. Disconnect these pieces. And rotate them back all the way. And they become his arms. Go ahead and put the bigger robot fists on. We'll put the chest plate on. And then the cab connector here, we're going to take that off. And bring that around to the front. And that becomes a belt for Ultra Magnus. And then the rocket launcher is clipped right into his shoulder here. Turn that around. And then Ghost Prime here. So the last thing we need to do with him is bring his feet down. And then we'll clip him into place with the lights here going right into the little pegs where the cab connector clipped into. And he does have some pieces on the side of his tires here that slide into these pieces here for a guide. So just line it up and slide them into place. And there we go. And finally, clip on the robot head. And there he is, G1 Ultra Magnus and his G1 glory. I would say bot mode, but I think block mode is more accurate. Because, yeah, there isn't a whole lot of movement going on here. The legs, there is nothing happening there. They are definitely set in place. What he can do, though, is move his arms around. 360 action. Yep, stay in place, rocket launcher. We're going to need you. Never know when we run into Cyclonus or Galvatron. Move his elbows in and out, up and down. Again, the rocket launchers do fire, so take that, Cyclonus. And we'll give him his laser. Have him blast away at Galvatron. Although, honestly, I'd rather him see... so excited I can't even talk. I'd rather see him just throw hands with Galvatron and Cyclonus. They made for some great battles in this Season 3 of the series. Yeah, I'll admit, it's kind of bad, G1 badness. But it's what I had when I was a kid, and I loved it then, and I still love it now. And there have been other versions of our boy here that have done him much more justice, including the Studio Series, which I do have on the way, and that'll be in a future review, and I cannot wait to get that one. But anyway, let's go ahead and transform him back. We'll take off the rocket launchers. Leave this aside for now. Take off the robot fists. Take off the cab connector. Leave that aside. And the chest plate. And the robot head. Now we'll go ahead and disconnect Ghost Prime. Stand you up for now, so that we can work on the car carrier part. So, start by unclipping the arms. Bring the feet back up. Straighten the arms out. Bring them back around and clip them together. Getting this camera down again. And bring the arms back out. Bring that panel back in. And rest the arms right on top there. There we go. And then reattach the rocket launchers. And the cab connector. Just clips right on the bottom here. And then Ghost Prime. Bring his arms back out temporarily so that we can tuck that robot head back in. And then bring the feet and the legs back up. And back to a Mack truck towing a car carrier. I am beyond happy to have this back in my collection. I feel like I'm 8 years old again. Again, I do have the Studio Series Ultra Magnus on the way. I cannot wait to get that one and review it. Don't worry, as soon as I do, I will drop that video almost immediately. But that's all about wrapping up for this review. Join me again for my next one. Until then, take care, Transformers fans. Hey, Transformers fans. Adam here, back for another Transformers review with a commemorative G1 reissue of the coolest Autobot of them all, Jazz. Let's get into it. Starting with his packaging here. So on the front, a graphic of Jazz in Bat mode, and same graphic on both sides. On the bottom, pictures of his toy in vehicle mode and Bat mode. Same picture on the top. Open up the little flap here, and we have pictures of other commemorative G1 reissue Transformers. And I do hope to pick up a Power Master Optimus Prime at some point. But inside, Jazz sits in there nice and snug in vehicle mode, along with his accessories. And then on the back, a nice graphic of the Transformers, and then a mini bio for Jazz. Set that aside, and let's get out his accessories. So we have the rocket launcher and the rocket, and then also his blaster. And the difference I see already compared to the actual G1, these are painted black instead of chrome. I do wish I would have stuck with the chrome, but what are you gonna do? Set this aside for now. And then Jazz himself here, in vehicle mode, modeled after a Porsche 935 turbo racing car. And the original G1s did have the Martini sponsor logo, just with an extra I at the end, but they can't quite get away with that anymore, so they had to change up the logos entirely. At least they were able to keep his number 4 though, More recent releases couldn't even get away with that. And it does have the rub sticker, so we'll give that a little bit of heat. And let's see, does the Autobot logo still show? Yeah, a little bit. And I can feel it with the die cast too. I do miss that feeling compared to today's plastic. But my favorite feature, rubber wheels. You've heard me say in my videos a few times how much I despise the plastic ones that I've had to switch to. I get it, they do last longer, but rubber is just so much nicer. And Jazz here, besides being one of the coolest Autobots, was also one of the toughest. So tough that he's one of the few OG Autobots to survive Unicron in the 86 animated movie. Alright, let's go ahead and transform him. Start by extending out the legs. Rotate the legs down. Bring his feet up. And then separate the legs as much as you can. Just like that. Next, unclip the doors. And then we work on his top half. So his hands clip into his elbows. Go ahead and unclip those. And then bring out his arms. So with this one, all we do is rotate his hand. With this one, to hide those screws, we'll rotate the whole arm around. And then rotate the hand. And now, this metal piece here. Bring that down. And then bring the hood up. It's on a double hinge. And then bring up his head. And just drop everything into place. And there we go. G1 Jazz in bot mode. And let's get a close-up here. So, one difference between this and the show, his visor looks like it's more green or silverish as opposed to blue like it was in the series. That's a bit of a disappointment. And also, is it just me or does it kind of look like he's... Oh, okay, I was going to say it looks like he was snarling at us, but no, that's a bit of a grin. A weird grin. But as far as articulation goes, total G1 badness. Nothing happening with the legs here. They are set in place, especially with those bars in the middle. Halfway decent movement with the arms, though. So you got 360 with the shoulders, as long as everything else stays in place. There we go. And you can move the elbow in and out. Twist the hand around. And then you can make him nod a little bit with his head. Just move this piece up and down. There we go. Let's get out his accessories. So we got the blaster here. Again, I do wish they kept this chrome just like with the OG original, but what are you gonna do? And just have him blast some Decepticons. So take that, Starscream. That's doing a Megatron. Pow. And we'll get that out. And let's get out the rocket launcher and rocket. So let's go ahead and clip the rocket in like that. And as usual with these reissues since the 1980s, stupid choke hazard laws getting more strict. Then the rockets basically have to be ridiculously long. And it just clips right into his back here. If it stays in place, there we go. And the rocket does fire. So, fire in the hole. There we go. Alright, let's take that out. Put his accessories aside. I am beyond happy to have Jazz here back in my collection. Just like all the G1s. First time seeing him, playing with him. I feel like I'm 8 years old again. Alright, let's go ahead and transform him back. So, go ahead and lift up the hood here. Bring that head back in. Close it back up. And then his arms. With this one, we just rotate that fist around. And then with this one, rotate the whole arm around. And then the fist. And then we can tuck his arms back in. So just like this. And same with the other one. And then we clip the fists back into the elbows. So. And sometimes that can be a little easier said than done. Not a lot of space to work with. All right, we got 1, And get that other one in place. There we go. 2. And just make sure they go in all the way. All right, looking good. And now, bring this metal piece back up. There we go. And now we can clip the doors back in. 1 and 2. And then next, move these legs back together. Bring these feet down, rotate the legs up, and slide the legs back in. And back to a Porsche 935 Turbo racing car. Beyond excited to have him back in my collection. Can't wait to get more G1s. Can't wait to review them all. That'll about wrap it up for this video. Join me again for the next one. Until then, take care, Transformers fans.